My name saying, man, listen, Lil Boosie have Duke the jeweler. He had to walk to his car.
There's only one reason that Rainwater will even stick his neck out and even pull up like that. Y'all gotta look at one thing, and y'all gotta pay attention closely to what Charleston White just said.
Yeah. And that's what each man got to figure out. Yeah.
And I just want to say,
Know how to figure it out in the club.
I don't blame Charleston White, because if you really look at everything that's going on, people take people kindness for weakness, and you help a person one time and they think that it was just for free. No, at the end of the day, we already know for a fact.
Duke the jeweler was got himself.
Much love to my people, to my folks out there in Dallas. So yeah, Charleston White, he says he didn't even know Mo3 before his untimely demise.
I mean, the whole thing with Duke, we know that as time goes on, there's going to be more information that's coming out. And, like, it's only a matter of time until the real evidence and substantial evidence that actually means anything and will really put a target on where it needs to go. It's going to take a little time, and it's going to take, the course of the trial to actually start, because obviously they're not going to put all the evidence out initially until they actually go to trial, because if they wait, they put at risk, they put their facts at risk. And fact of the matter is, there's a lot of information that's out there, and we know that a lot was said. The one big thing, though, is the fact that, they have the GMC on the side of the scene, and the thing is like, all these new cars, they all have this, they all have the technology where it's tracked. So, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, whatever needs to be subpoenaed, whether it's records or evidence of where the car was or this car was or what happened to be pinging at that scene at that time, they're definitely going to be able to tell who it was. The thing I don't understand is Boosie continues to hang around with these young cats. And his 19-year-old cousin, that's the one who primarily, I guess, was driving the car for the GMC. And the problem is if they don't, if someone does something in your vehicle, it's still your liability. Regardless. And the one thing that he did as soon as dude started to, as soon as Boosie came home, he actually was selling off his cars. You know what I mean? So, is he doing cleanup? Or is he actually, did he make that call? That's the question.
So you have to really be mindful about what you get yourself into before you do it, because you don't know what this may lead them into. You see what just happened to Boosie. You see Boosie instantly, he was out of pocket. They pulled up to his studio and they did it. They did what they had to do, man. I'm surprised they ain't up on them. I'm surprised they ain't pull out Tootie. Real talk, man. But for the people around him who have something to do with the whole Duke the jeweler setup, man, for them not to even really help, it goes to show that if you paid the right money, ain't no looking back. At the end of the day, you're gonna take that money and do it to whoever, you feel me? You're gonna send whoever you want up. Anybody who they send you to, man. Hey, and it's crazy because at the end of the day, we know for a fact that Rainwater looking at this man, I need to fall back, because he's gonna end up exposing what really happened. How Rainwater was on the expressway. He was on the highway in Houston, driving to Dallas. Once he got to Dallas, he knew Mo3 was leaving out. So I'm gonna let y'all know one thing. Listen to what he said. They said it started at the studio, but if they would have never let Charleston White in, Y'all gotta understand one thing. Everybody being backdoored. If you know somebody who close to you, man, and they got some snake in their bone, man, you realize you gotta push them away, man, because Charleston White, he came up there with like 4 bouncers. Y'all gotta really pay attention to that, man. And Boosie was standing in the studio looking shocked like, why would you pull up on me and you into a Rainwater?
He said he still wants to make sure that he's not that type of person, that he's letting people know that he was more than a manager to Mo3. He was a friend. And again, Charleston White, he had something to say about that. Charleston White says, Rainwater will make it seem like he's a very trustworthy person. That's the reason why Charleston White says he wanted to hang around Rainwater. No, not because of the stories that he heard about Rainwater got something to do with Mo3's untimely demise. He said that he heard that Rainwater, he got a head on his shoulders. He's a very smart dude. But at the same time, once he hung around Rainwater, now he started to see what people were saying. That he really only wanted Mo3 to go a certain height. That he really didn't want Mo3 to elevate like he was telling people he wanted. And again, Charleston White says he knows all this by hanging around Rainwater and seeing firsthand. He'd make it seem like, yeah, y'all gonna split 50-50. He believes now that's the same thing that Rainwater was selling Mo3. When Charleston White says that's not the truth at all. He says that Rainwater is actually receiving 80% while Mo3 was receiving 20%. Charleston White says that's the reason why Mo3, he wanted to reconstruct his whole record deal. Charleston White says that Mo3 finally got word how Rainwater had reconstructed his record deal. That's the reason why Rainwater was seeing a higher percentage on Mo3's contract pertaining to what Mo3 was seeing himself. There y'all go. Y'all heard it out of Charleston White mouth himself. There y'all go. Y'all heard it from Charleston White himself. He speaks on Rainwater not being the individual that a lot of people thought he was. That again, yes, from a distance, from the outside looking in, it seems that Rainwater, he's a good guy. He don't seem like he could be a shark in the water. He said, but no, Rainwater is the total opposite. Once you get to hanging around, dude, you'll really see that, nah, he was really setting up Mo3. That he would purposely set up Mo3 and Yella Beezy to be in the same building, knowing they did not get along. Knowing that it was hard for them to even perform in the same building because their entourage did not even get along. And again, this is speaking from Charleston White, because Charleston White says himself that Charleston White says that this was some information that he had got from some people that was from Dallas, that was out of Mo3's camp. Because there are some people from Mo3 camp that still don't mess with Rainwater. And Charleston White says he sees all this. Charleston White says that Rainwater tried to pull that on him. That Rainwater tried to slick him out of deal.
What made me lean towards the Pixel was they had this feature that made dark.
And now he sees that, yeah, that everything that people were saying about Rainwater is true pertaining to Mo.
So, I mean, to be quite honest, after hearing this from Charleston White, like, he said he would snitch on anyone basically to keep himself out of being locked up. Like, he isn't going down for someone else, pretty much. It's like, it kind of makes sense with all the stuff that's going on right now with Boosie being quiet regarding Charleston White, because at the end of the day, we know that there was 9 situations that Boosie had somewhat involvement that we know of. 9, right? We know 5 of them he was not found guilty for any of these charges, right? The thing is, though, is there's still 4 that are potentially, from what I understand, something that could be brought up. And I think the last thing that Boosie wants is the 4 to be discussed, right? So he knows that if anyone is gonna stick their nose where somewhere it don't belong, it's gonna be Charleston White. And so at the end of the day, like, he's not gonna end up speaking against him, because he knows Charleston White's gonna put his business out there. Here's a clip. Like, there you go, though. You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, Charleston White's concern is his main concern is being present for his child or his children. And, like, that is exactly why he, you know, isn't going down for someone else, basically. Everyone's got their thing, you know? I mean, at the end of the day, some point, people realize that although life might be long, life is really short, and the last thing he's gonna do is stay up in there for anybody else. Especially when he's got, you know, kids to see, and, you know what I mean? But Boosie definitely is not gonna be, you know, crossing him if he's got something on him. That's for sure. See, the thing is you got all these people that are standing around the game watching Duke, and you don't really know who's connected. Like, at the end of the day, there's people that are connected with each other, and honestly, unless you see them like together, or you see that they know each other and are acquainted somehow, like, there's no way that sometimes you'd think that any of these people have any relation together whatsoever. And so you got Duke in a situation where he's in the, like, you got him in a situation where he's in a whole nother place where he doesn't even belong. And, you know, like, it's not that he doesn't belong, it's just that it's not his hometown. And we know that in his hometown he's obviously respected a lot more, and, you know, he's appreciated a lot more. And they're not gonna do something like that to dude where he's from. You know what I mean? Because it's not like that. But the thing is to hit someone when they're, you know, least expecting it, and they're not really ready, because obviously he got hit at the weakest moment. He's by himself in a dark parking lot. Like, that's the thing. He's in the dark lot by himself. You know, nobody went with him, despite the fact that he won all that at the game. And then on top of it, like, he won all that at the game, and then he had all his stuff on. You know, he had all his stuff on, and he had a whole complete bag full of stuff that was unmarked and new. Like, he went out there for multiple reasons, and this is the last thing that was expected. You know, he had continued to move as he had been moving without security, but he wasn't the one, like, you know, we know Boosie's the one that invited him down there. So is there some level of responsibility that he should have for, you know, giving him some security or making sure that he has some security? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, the thing is that, do you think that this was intended on that to happen at the time that it happened? Or do you think that it was just something that was initially intended for when he was there, and it was just a matter of the right timing? Do you think that Boosie was called just to clean up the situation, or do you think he made the call for the situation? You know, we know for a fact that he had involvement with 9 situations along the lines, and 5 of them were addressed, leaving 4 of them to remain open. But we are going to find out what happens. We know that Boosie's not speaking much on the situation with Charleston White, because we already know Charleston White himself said that he definitely wouldn't be doing anything to get himself caught up. And we know that he's got facts, and the last thing that Boosie's looking for is any drama with him. So I'm gonna have to wait to see what happens. So Charleston White had defended Kanye West initially, but Kanye's in the news again about his comments that he had made. He actually, as of this morning, originally Kanye's attorney was the same one that Johnny Depp was using during his trial over the summer. And as of this morning, Kanye no longer is using that attorney. He is refusing to retract the hateful statements that were made. So he no longer has the original representation that he had. It'll be interesting to see what happens if Charleston White's going to continue to, be there for Yeezy or what. We know that Charleston White's been in the media a lot recently and, stating about everything from Tootie Raww to King with T.I. and Boosie, and, initially defending Yeezy for what he was wearing. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a matter of time until someone else says something, but he apparently, after what was said recently on the interview that he was on, I believe it was last weekend, he is not retracting any of the comments that he had made. Initially, they wanted him to retract the comments because they said that they were hateful, but he no longer is retracting his statements and doesn't have the same representation that he initially started. So we'll see what happens, and that's it. It's like, you gotta wonder though, is Charleston White gonna continue to be there for Yeezy, or is that a one-time situation? Regardless, we know that when Duke was going to the lot, right? People had to be watching. They were watching the whole entire game. They had stayed watching him since he had put his 2 feet on that plane. Because we know who was there with him then, which was not... How coincidental is that, alright? You got the game going on, and when it's all done, all said and done, everyone had eyes on Duke. And regardless, everybody, when you're in a town, whether big or small, doesn't matter. Always, places are really small when it comes down to it. People know people, and we know Prince Jr., they say he's the king of Houston or whatever. You know what I mean? He definitely had eyes on him the whole entire time. Question is, was this the whole intention of him coming down there? This would not have... This isn't something that they would have done if he was in where he's from. Because you don't do that. You don't do... he had respect where he was from. He respected where he came from, and where he came from respected him. And, to hit him when he's at his lowest, that's a coward move. It's you have to be careful who you let inside your circle. Seriously. A lot of people that I've heard talk that they've done business in some sense with Boosie, the one thing they say is it's you don't really think that anything, you think you're fine because he is who he is, right? But also, he is who he is, so you have to keep an eye on everyone. You can't necessarily just trust him because of who he is. Boosie himself, in his music, and not only that though, when he talks to people, he continuously says that you cannot trust anybody. You can't trust, like, it's crazy. You know, in fact, ironically enough, at the concert on the night that Duke was sent up, he is on stage. I'm sure you've seen the video that we had up. He's on stage shouting out about how you can't trust anybody. Like, you can't trust anyone. So, at some point, it's like, you can't trust anyone because, I mean, yeah, we know you can't trust anybody, but, like, at some point, I think you should be able to have some trust in some. I would hope that you could have trust in some people, or you could have trust in some people.